Kia ora koutou katoa nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te Korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, I know she's a former New Zealand netballer turned rugby seven star from Waitara to the world stage. Her journey includes a World Rugby Women's Sevens Player of the Year, World Cup glory, and an Olympic silver medal. Off the field, she's a proud mum, wife, and co-host for Life from the Sidelines. No mai, hara mai, Kayla Ahki. Kia ora, how are we?
Kia ora, morena. Good. Nice and sunny up in Auckland today. So, no, we're good.
It's nice and sunny down here always too. Hey, good to have you on the show, Kayla. Thank you for your time. Been looking forward to having a catch up and a kōrero about your sporting journey. But before we get started, ko wai koe, no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Born in Waitara, Taranaki. And then when I was about 2 months old, flew over to the UK where my dad, old man Charlie, was playing professional league, and then switched over to rugby union, from rugby union to league. So my childhood was basically in the UK till I was about 8 years old. And then we moved back in 96 up to Whangaparoa on Hibiscus Coast in Auckland. So till I was, through teenage years and through adulthood. So yeah, born in Waitara, whole family's from there, but raised in the UK, and then teenage life and early adulthood up in Auckland.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, your old man, Charlie Mack's very well known, and your koro, Charlie Mack Sr., very well known here and under our maunga here in Taranaki. Now, but for you, growing up in England and then back to New Zealand with such a sporting family, like how did those early environments kind of shape your approach to sports?
I think for mum and dad raising us in England, I guess obviously English-speaking country, but the sport's not the same. I think sport in the UK is more like private schools or, it's just the basic in the courtyard. But coming home, I knew mum and dad knew that we're missing out on, because my brother Luke, 5 years older than me, and he was in his teenage years. So when that was done, we moved home, and I remember first thing seeing kids with no shoes on, playing outside on grass, because in the UK it's concrete. So yeah, I think I fitted in pretty quickly. And at the start of the year, I was always athletics first in primary school. And that's, running on grass and racing and, just those are my early childhood memories moving home. And had a twangy accent. I got mocked a bit, but found my feet pretty quickly with sport, to be honest. That's how I made friends, netball, athletics in the primary school up on the coast. And then, just eventuated from there and settled back into New Zealand life, and obviously coming home a lot. During the holidays, I was down in Waitara every holidays. Mum and dad would ship me on the bus, intercity bus, to down home to the grandparents, and with the cousins, Jared and Conrad and Ricky and all my cousins. So every holidays, at least 4 times a year, I was back home. So yeah, that's my way of kind of integrating back to the Kiwi life.
Now that's awesome. That's awesome. Now I understand you played a bit of netball, and then obviously you switched to rugby sevens. What inspired to switch from netball with the Mystics and to pursuing rugby sevens in 2012, and how did that kind of decision feel at the time?
I think, obviously over 10 years ago, netball was like the number one female sport in the country. Rugby still there, but wasn't as big in terms of pushing it through, younger ages. So netball was always the default, or hockey for girls. So my mum was a proud netballer, Taranaki representative. So she was my netball coach in primary, intermediate, and then high school. I went to Westlake Girls High School on the North Shore. So my parents sent me there because obviously the sporting background and to get, try and push myself higher in sport. It was a sporting school. So I made all the age groups there, made the senior A netball at in sixth form, which is kind of not normal. So I knew I had kind of a future in netball, and that was my goal and where I was pushed to from mum and dad, and didn't quite have the training ethic that my brother had, which now looking back, hindsight's a great thing, but we just made my way through with just my natural skill, what I was, born with and given from the family. And then I guess I kind of made the Mystics as a training partner, then made the full team in 2011, got to experience the grand final over in Brizzy with the girls like Maria and Temapata and playing and training with my idols. I didn't quite have the switch to be like, oh, this could actually be me. I was always comfortable sitting behind the world's best player and learning off her, but I didn't quite grab it like I should have. And then the Go for Gold campaign, my old man's always wanted me to play rugby, and I tried back in the day at high school and it just wasn't me. I just did that whole ruck environment and forward stuff was not me. So I didn't quite have the mungle that he, looking back, but this Go for Gold campaign popped up, and it was them going, obviously the Olympics put the sevens for 2016 an Olympic sport. And sevens obviously is like a hybrid game of rugby, and may or may not have suited me a bit better. So Dad, brought it up and said, I think you should go down one night on the shore and go to like a training session. And it was like a fitness session and hit some tackle bags, which I can do, but not rugby. So yeah, I remember Portia Woodman at the time was in the Mystics as well. And I kind of messaged her because obviously her dad's a rugby legend too. And I said, look, maybe we should give it a crack, not tell anyone, because her and I were kind of on the outskirts. She was in, I was out, vice versa. And so we went one night on a Tuesday night down to the rugby fields at Unitec where the Blues are based, and got put through like a fitness test. And obviously her and I are fit because we play netball. So like, I remember wearing tights, like netballers wear 3/4 tights, like leggings. And the looks that we got, like, just so different. Like rugby girls wear shorts, or like rugby shorts, and we're rocking out with our 3/4 tights and our t-shirts on, like totally sticking out like sore thumbs. And we're like, no. And so we did really well on the fitness test, tackled some bags, and obviously Alan Bunting took that group, that Auckland group, obviously the former coach now, but at the time he was the assistant, and he was like, oh, like, who are these chicks? Straight away found out, and then we made the next step, and then the big step was 50 of us down to Waitara to the army camp and put through, I don't know, PTSD talking about that, put through the ringer. And I went to places I'd never been to in my life, being like, what am I doing? But I was like, Olympics, like, this is an opportunity to make the Olympics, like, this is nuts. So yeah, and it just went from there. And then I had to turn my back on the netball, and I tried to do a bit of both for a while, for like maybe a year. And then 2012 and August, Portia, we made the squad of 12 to go to Fiji for the Oceania tournament, which was like their first wearing the black jersey for sevens with NZRU. There's been New Zealand women's sevens in the past, but they weren't paid. They weren't, they found their own money and got themselves a Dubai in tournaments back in the day, those girls. And this was the first team that was black jersey, paid for, and we made our way to Fiji, Oceania. Awesome trip. Had to make a few tackles, learn pretty quickly. But there was like 4 of us that were kind of new to rugby. But the old girls at the time, Linda Aitunu, Huriana, like they took us under their wing, and they kind of saw a vision too. And we need these girls, we need these athletes, not so much rugby players, but athletes, and let's try and help them. So yeah, we learned pretty quickly. And then Dubai was 2012 in December, obviously the World Series tournament, and we made that. And I remember with Porsche just being like, after that, and we won that tournament, and on like a podium in front of like thousands of people, because the men's game is also tournaments alongside it, walking around the crowd after that on the field and seeing like Kenyan fans in one corner, like doing a lap of honor on a rugby field in Dubai. And her and I looked at each other and we were like, oh yeah, this is way better than netball. So we got back to New Zealand, and then we had to have the hard decisions of, I was like, I'm going straight rugby, later netball. Like, I've done my bit. I'm not going to make it to the next level. I'm not going to be a silver fern. I'm done. Now I'm going to put my eggs in one basket, and there was this rugby crack. And she'd done it but a year later. But yeah, I turned then in 2013 was to put netball down and give us a good crack. And yeah, 4 years later, made
wow
the Olympics. So
wow,
yeah,
what a journey and a leap of faith, and it definitely paid off, that's for sure. So make sure to stay tuned, Bane. We're going to be back to speak to Kayla more about that sevens rugby journey. Kia ora wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We're here with Kayla Ahki, having an awesome kōrero about her transition from netball into rugby sevens. Now, it only took a year. For you in sevens, and you were named World Player of the Year. Is that correct? So what do you think kind of...
back then it was on votes. So I remember it was like we had a World Series, like 4 or 5 tournaments, and a group of us were put forward, and it was on voting. So my brother at the time, obviously, former All Black, playing overseas, he would put it out on the social media and everyone was voting. So back then it was votes, okay? So yeah, maybe I had a few tries and looked after my mate Portia out wide, but that back then was voting on votes from the public. So may have had a bit of an upper hand help there from my mate, but yeah, no.
Awesome, well deserved, I'm sure. Well, with your sevens journey, can you share like what's probably your most treasured kind of moment, from your sevens journey?
Treasure moment. I think like the friendships. I think netball's so small, so like it's only 12 in a team, and that's you for a whole year. And I think for sevens there was like nationals, and you go like provincial, and then so got to experience nationals with a group of women and girls and young girls, and then you go into the high performance New Zealand environment, and there'd be like 22 contracted girls. So like I had more more like mates and getting to know different people from different backgrounds, and a whole new friendship, I guess. And meeting, girls from all walks of life, different sports. And I still, to this day, 12, 13 years later, still, some of those are one of my closest mates. So, and when you go through the Hurt Locker, like we did on World Series, and traveling, around the world every year, and going to, tournaments, and the pressure of the black jersey, and, going to the death with some of them, it's, those are life experiences that I'll never forget. But yeah, the friendships, I think, and the camaraderie, and being in a high performance environment. I'm a very, very competitive, challenged female. So being in that and living and breathing that. And for me, I was there when it was the early days and we had no money. We got no contracts, no pay. Still held down a full-time job, went to gym in the morning, 6 till 8, work 8 till 5, gym in the afternoon or skills. And for 2 to 3 years of that, we got paid on the circuit, obviously anything paid for, but we weren't paid, remunerated for, and so being in that group of 30 girls that we had a vision for. One day we sat in a room and we had to sit for a whole day on trying to come up with a vision of what we wanted for this team and the future of this team. And now seeing where it is now, where these girls are fully paid. This is a pathway for women, girls at school to be paid over 40, 50K a year. For me, the biggest thing is I was there when it started to where it is now in the professionalism and where it can take girls. It's another, I guess, a pathway to be a job and hobby like the boys. For me, it was, seeing that side of the game.
Really took all that, in terms of the players at the time, yourselves as pioneers of the game for our wahine, who obviously, have an awesome setup now, traveling the world and getting fully paid. So for what they do, which is amazing. Now I understand you won the inaugural Women's Sevens World Cup in 2013, and then you went to the Rio Olympics in 2016. These must have been some pretty cool experiences.
Yeah, I think 2013 was pretty cool because there were 16 men's teams and 14 or 12 women's over in Russia. So this sport is also taking me to places that I would never go to. So this World Cup was Russia. We weren't allowed to leave the hotel. We had security, real serious. And then, we ended up getting through that tournament. At the time, there was maybe 5 or 6 teams that were pretty close, and England and Canada, Russia were pretty full on. So at that time, though, Huriana Manuel, the OG, and her auntie had actually passed away leading into the tournament. And like any normal person, you'd think you'd come home and be with your family. She ended up saying, no, I'm here for a job to do and we're here to win it. So that whole tournament for me was built around we were there to support our captain, and there was no way we were losing that tournament. We were it's not happening. So our culture, I guess, is people. Is people first, and then the sport second, the game second. So that tournament was purely for Huri. Also, we had to make a mark on the big stage for us to get paid. So that was one of our goals, was to win that World Cup so we can show NZR and our country that, no, this is, we're good. We need to be paid. So that was a stepping stone to what was coming. And we took that out, won that. And obviously celebrations were in Russia where vodka's made. So we had a big party. That was when I won the award of Player of the Year and had to get up on stage in front of all these people. And I had a bit of too many vodkas and had to get up and try and say a speech with Tim Mickelson at the time. But, all great experiences looking back. But for me, it was, just that being in the tournament with men's, women's in Russia was pretty cool, and it just kept leading one thing to another. And after that, 2013, they took us a bit more seriously, gave us a couple of grand here and there, and eventually got a contract for the girls. So
awesome, great memories for sure. Now, you spoke before about that work-life balance and you guys and your era kind of having to balance all of that. Now, obviously, your partner Peter, he played rugby over in France, and what's been some of the biggest challenges and joys in balancing family life while being in the public eye?
Well, obviously I met Peter that year of Russia in 2013, which is another funny story. Heading over there and meeting him in a bar before we realized we were both NZ players going to Russia, so that was quite cool looking back story to tell our kids. But I never thought I saw myself as being a New Zealand rugby player for 10 years, so gonna have a good crack at this. And then obviously I met him, and he's a professional rugby player, and times were hard for a bit. It was do I stay with him? Do we go? Do we separate? And then he had, he was playing Hurricanes or Blues in Hurricanes, and then came to the point in 2016, 2017, that he couldn't get a contract in New Zealand. So obviously, I was paid, but it's nothing like the men's game. And he had offers to go offshore, and I had to pretty much choose. We had a 1-year-old baby as well, so I had Stella straight after 2016, after the Olympics. And then, that tough decision as a family to, do I help him and push his dreams and know he's going to be the breadwinner for our family, or do we just stay here and live under my contract and get him to just play provincial rugby? I had those conversations. Obviously, my brother was overseas in France at the time, and he got a gig in Connacht in Ireland, and it was that he went and did that himself. So I stayed here and tried to finish off my rugby here. And then I had another whole goal was to come back after having a baby and prove. My next step was to prove to women that you can have a baby and come back to a high performance environment. So, it was just 2016 was, and 2017 was all over the show. But I was like, I've got a goal. It's to come back to show women that you can have a baby. And I also had to make changes in NZRU and in terms of contracting for pregnancy and maternity leave. So that was one of my goals. So Peter's like, you know what, I'll support you. You do that. I'll go to Ireland and try and get a gig. So he did that for 4 months. I stayed back here, had Stella in May 2017. And my goal was to get back to Dubai 2017 December tournament. And with the help of the staff and the management and physio, got that done, and behind the scenes working hard to get maternity leave and putting something in the contract for having a baby coming back, because there was nothing. There's no discredit to NZR or Play Association. No one had done it. So this was like another pioneer. It needed to be done properly. Amelia and Ignacio and the Silver Ferns was in the same boat. They had nothing as well. So her and I were crossing paths in the offices trying to sort out, the women's game in high performance environment, because this is the new norm. And I wanted that to make sure that was done properly. And so, they credit to them, supported me, paid for my mum to come to and then I went to Dubai in 2012 with a baby, a 1-year-old, and you should have seen everyone's faces. And because obviously all 12 teams are at this JW Marriott in Dubai, the beautiful hotel that World Rugby put us in. And then here I am with the baby and my mum. And then obviously other nations start talking, well, she's got a baby on tour, like, what the, like this, and then a couple months later, I had the Australian girls come and talk to me about how I did it, because then they wanted to implement the same thing. And as a domino effect, the British English team, like, how did you do this? And we need to talk. And so it was pretty special for me. And obviously then I had to make the decision to walk away. And just for the Com Games in 2018, I had to follow Peter, because he had an opportunity now in France in 2018, June, to move over there for a 1-year contract. And I said that meant I had to give up the Com Games, which I hadn't done. And I had to, my poor family had to sit there and just bite their tongue. And I said, this is my husband. We just got married as well in 2017. My husband, my 1-year-old baby, I need to follow him now and get him back to where he needs to be, because I know his potential. He's better than this. His rugby's not done. And looking back now, I'm like, well, it paid off. But at the time, it was really hard for me, who was still in my prime. And I had so much to give to the jersey and the game and the sport. I had to then put on hold, say, so I'm not coming to Com Games. I'm going to go follow Peter in France. And for 2 years I struggled. I came back in 2019 to try and crack 2020 Olympics. So came back, and then this thing called COVID hit. So I actually came back, did nationals with my 2 kids. I had another kid over there in 2018. Came back, 2 young kids under two. Got back into the environment, played nationals to, put my foot back in properly and do it the right way. And then I made the squad of 20 in January 2020. Moved back here. Peter was all settled. Rugby was doing really well in France. He was finding his feet. Happy days. Came back here in January 2020 with my 2 girls. Moved to the Mount with a family friend, my best mate's mum. Set myself up, ready to give it a good year crack and back in the team and go back to the Olympics and try and get a gold, because I won silver. And then this COVID hit in March, and that was it. I got on a plane with my kids, went back to France, never left. That was it.
Oh wow! What a
I try to come back. And once Peter found his feet, and I think someone's telling me up there that it's done. So I went back to France and carried on till the season just gone. So yeah, awesome. But then they won gold. So I actually came back. We were on break that July, and I ended up doing the commentary for Sky with the girls in the final. And I remember crying with Linda Atunu. So happy for the girls, but so sad because they got a gold medal, and I'm sitting here crying. But grateful and stoked for the girls. But I was like, oh man, like 2021 the Olympics. But it's lots of tough decisions, and that's the part and parcel of marrying a sports player. So what an awesome journey, and take my head off to you, for some of those game changer moments in terms of some of the things that you push for mums and stuff. So absolutely outstanding. Well, finally, make sure to stay tuned with us. We're just going to go to another short break and come back and talk to Kayla about her Māori identity and some of her future aspirations.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki. We have an awesome kōrero with Kayla. Now, Kayla, how is your Māori heritage, Te Aotearoa, Taranaki, identity kind of influence your sporting journey and your voice in the community?
Oh, I think it's massive. I guess growing up, dad's proud Māori. Obviously, mum is European, but born and raised in the Waitara. So it's been around me my whole life. And, I've tried to dabble in here and there. I played Māori, New Zealand Māoris, secondary schools for netball. So every Easter weekend was the Māori Nationals that I used to look forward to every year, because that was kind of my only opportunity to be around the Māori and to learn. And, that was kind of the only thing I got from it, because otherwise I was at school in Westlake Girls on the North Shore, and back then it wasn't really pushed as like it is now, this day and age. But back then the Māori netball was kind of my foot in the door to feel Māori. And then I made like New Zealand Māori secondary school, so I met girls from all around the country, which my Palmer girls now to this day are still my mates. So I guess it's a big, and obviously my brother playing Māori All Blacks, and then obviously Luke's always said like that's always been one of the best teams he's been a part of, because the culture, it's who you are, and unless you're in it and around it, you don't really get exposure to it. So I obviously wasn't privileged enough to be around it and living it every day, being up in Auckland and at a more European dominated high school, etc. But when I'm in the chance, we'll get around that moment. And even in the seven stuff, we had Stacey Waka that would lead it, and Portia, really, really strong wahine. So it's kind of on the outer, but still when I'm in it and around it, it's pretty humbling, pretty special. And I guess being overseas for 8 years, it's something that I've actually realised that what I see what be going on back home, and really, really hard to sit on the other side of the world and see what's happening. Getting emotional now, but I was pretty tough. And now we're home. Peter's like, oh gosh, I don't try and do anything stupid or change the government vibes, because I'm pretty psycho. But being home, and for me, it's my children are Tongan Samoan. Peter's Tonga Samoan, and then obviously I'm multi-European. So fruit salad, my kids, and bringing them home was one of our reasons to get them back into our culture and to our who we are. And that's what they're missing out on in France. Like, the culture is not the same. They've got a good culture, and they got their culture and what they do in the European life of way, and that's all our kids knew. So it was like kind of a full circle moment what mum and dad went through with me and Luke, bring us home, and things are going to change, and back into sport and way they grew up. And now we're about to witness it. I'm about to witness it now, 30 years later with my kids. So
beautiful.
Yeah, pretty humbling being overseas in the last 2 years when stuff's been happening back here. But it's obviously made me more stronger and look into it deeper, and make sure my kids know who they are. And my dad's always said, oh, here's the Whakapapa book, you need to make sure you read it in case we're not going to go. And I'm like, yeah, one day. And now I'm like, oh, okay, 10 years ago, sorry for listening. Now where's the book? Let's sit down and have a chat. Like, it's February. So I'm like, sorry, Dad. And he's like, yeah. The timing wasn't right. I'm like, no, I'm traveling the world. But now coming home and seeing stuff being offshore, and obviously being away from it, you realise, what we're missing out on our kids. So, and I have noticed things coming home, and I come home every year and see the difference of Te Reo on TV or Jenny May on the front face of breakfast, it's pretty cool. And I just a proud Māori, pretty special culture that I guess overseas the Frenchies always want to see huckers and be like, Peter, like, where's the haka? Like, and I remember his last game just gone, which blew up on social media. The first thing their media team asked me in the meeting when they were doing his tribute was, will there be a haka? I'm like, it's not something you like it's kind of like just happens when it happens. They didn't understand. I'm like, if Jerome Kino and all those boys want, like, if you want it, and they're like, we need the haka. And I'm like, he's actually Tongan Samoan, but we like that the haka and the French, like our culture in Māori and New Zealand for Frenchies is just like, it's pretty cool and special. So got that done, and they ended up getting 2 of them, and the crowd just dead silent. Like, and I guess you would have seen it. I don't know if you see the UK booing the haka and the English and whatever, and you come to the French game, and I guess for me, Emmanuel Mierful, he's in the French team now, the big lock, but he's Australian Samoan. So he came over young, and he's obviously made the French team, and he ended up having to face the All Blacks just gone in November. And he got questioned about, what are you going to be like when you face the haka? Like, it's, these boys, it's not your culture, but he's from our side of the world. And he's like, oh, it's pretty, like, goosebumpy. And I don't know if you saw, but the French put spotlights on it. Pitch black stadium, spotlight on the All Blacks doing the haka, and like, because they're just it's special, and the whole we were there, whole stadium silent, spotlight on the haka, like the respect they have, the French, for New Zealand, our culture, and is pretty special. And then you see the British doing nothing, you see Ireland doing nothing, and then everyone trying to follow suit afterwards. I'm like, no, too late. But I think for me and being in that country was pretty cool, being there, living there, and the respect they have for our culture is something I admire with the French, especially. So it's pretty cool.
100%, and it's beautiful to hear that you hold that close to your heart. I know all of us here in Taranaki and Te Aotearoa and Taranaki, you know, we've always kind of looked at yourself and Luke and the old man, you know, as stalwarts in the game and taking little old Taranaki out to the world. So me to you for that. Now, looking ahead, looking at some of your future aspirations, like what are your current passions? Like, are you coaching or mentoring? Your media community? What's kind of on the horizon for Kayla?
Don't know. Just obviously the joke of me coming back and playing footy after couldn't work in France due to visa restrictions. Raised 3 kids, stay-at-home mum, which is again a huge privilege for me, and obviously supporting Peter through his journey. And I haven't played footy. Well, I did a sevens tournament a few months back in France just to see where I'm at. And then, come home and been approached to maybe potentially have a crack at Aotearoa, which is the women's 15s supers, but I'm not sure. So got a high rocks coming up at the end of the month that I've hardly trained for with my cousin. I've got a marathon and a half marathon this year, but I think, Peter and I looked into like a potential business to do with children. So, our children are everything, and so we want to maybe do something around that. So a business opportunity, but for me, I don't know personally. Could be rugby, may not be, not sure. We'll see where the next few weeks take us. But I don't know. Just trying to find my feet again because I've been away for 8 years. But I'm just happy Peter's back in the continuing rugby. For him, nothing's really changed apart from bringing us, me and the girls home, which is what I was kind of wanting. So. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Kayla, it's awesome to have you guys home. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey from your early sporting days and the transition from netball to rugby. Balancing motherhood, being a real game changer in women's sports. Marriage, and now your role. And as a mum back home, and your story is a powerful reminder of resilience and adaptability and all heart and commitment. So we wish you all the best on your next journey back home and your future endeavours, both on and off the field. And from everybody here in Taranaki, we really wish you well.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
Will do.